You guys, Aaron here. Trying to talk about some crazy news. It's that COD Mobile could be shutting down. As you probably already know, Microsoft is currently in the process of buying Activision. Of course, they've already agreed to a $69 billion deal, but now it's just dealing with regulators who are opposing this deal, mainly in the US and the UK and Europe as a whole, I believe. Of course, because this can be considered a monopoly, and obviously PlayStation is very against this too. They've been very outspoken about this, trying to get this deal to not go through. And of course, Microsoft is doing everything they can to get this deal to go through. Already having like an agreement in place with Nintendo to bring Call of Duty to Nintendo, which I don't even know how that's going to work. Probably through the cloud, I guess, but we'll see. Now, we still don't know if this deal is going to go through because there's so many hurdles Microsoft has to go over just to get this deal to happen. Of course, dealing with all these regulators in different places, so we'll see what happens. But I think by the end of April, we should have a better idea what's going to be happening with this deal and how likely it is to actually happen. But something interesting happened recently, and shout out to Charlie Intel for posting this. A letter from Microsoft to UK regulators was recently released, and within this letter, they actually mentioned COD Mobile, and this is the part that has people really worried about the future of the game. But it says COD Mobile is expected to be phased out over time outside of China with the launch of Warzone Mobile, as Warzone Mobile which is scheduled to release later in 2023. Now, this news is pretty crazy to me, that Microsoft is eventually planning to shut down COD Mobile in favor of Warzone Mobile once they acquire Activision, which honestly makes no sense, because even though I'm very hyped for Warzone Mobile, very excited to play the game, I have a strong feeling it's not going to be nearly as successful as COD Mobile. So, I don't know. It doesn't really make much sense to me. I feel like both games can coexist pretty easily. I mean, COD Mobile is more multiplayer focused, Warzone's obviously more battle royale focused. So both games could definitely coexist. Unless they plan on like transforming Warzone Mobile into like a Call of Duty Mobile type game where it has like a fully fledged multiplayer mode and the battle royale, which I mean I don't know if they would ever do that because they have said multiple times now, at least Activision has said this, that Warzone Mobile is purely focused on battle royale and the multiplayer is like a side mode. But we'll see what happens. But it's pretty crazy that Microsoft even actually put this information out already. Because now COD Mobile players who wants to spend money on the game if they know the game's going to shut down in like a year or however long it is. I don't know. It's very strange news to put out there. I'm curious to see if Activision will actually respond to this because this information comes from Microsoft. I'm curious to see if Activision and the COD Mobile team actually responds to this news because this is not good news at all for whatever skins they put out, whatever lucky draws they decide to put out. Who wants to spend money on this now if they know the game's going to shut down? Because we already know the skins aren't going to transfer over to Warzone Mobile, so I don't know. It's very strange. Now, this doesn't officially confirm that COD Mobile is shutting down for sure. It just means that Microsoft has plans to eventually shut down the game after the launch of Warzone Mobile. But I mean, plans could change. I'm sure they'll see how much money that COD Mobile brings in, how big the player base is, and maybe change their minds. But I mean, we'll see what happens though. But some very interesting news that came out. Again, doesn't really make much sense to shut down the game. Because like I said, I don't think Warzone Mobile will be nearly as successful as COD Mobile for multiple reasons, which I kind of want to do a separate video on this, on Warzone Mobile and how potentially it could be a failure, just like Apex Legends Mobile, but save that for a separate time because there's a lot to talk about there. But yeah, some interesting COD Mobile news came out today. Thought I'd talk about it. Some not very good news, but I mean, I'll see what happens. Of course, Microsoft still needs to actually go through with the acquisition of Activision, which who knows if that's going to happen. And even if it does happen, that doesn't officially mean that Microsoft is like hard set on shutting down COD Mobile eventually. Could just be a plan right now that could eventually change, but we'll see what happens. But let me know in the comments below. COD Mobile shutting down potentially. What are your thoughts on this? I'm sure none of us are really happy about it. A lot of us have spent a lot of time with the game, a lot of money into the game. So what do you guys think? Of course, that probably bring like more negative attention to Warzone Mobile as well too. Just angry COD Mobile players, but I mean, we'll see what happens. Let me know in the comments below. Thanks for watching. Peace.